Hey, in this video, I'll break down my mastering workflow using a combination of hardware processors and high-quality plugins. I'll use my SSL Fusion together with my warm audio bus comp and plugins from Fabfilter and Izotope. And this is my true mode of operating, no artificial limitations inserted here. And at the end of the video, I'll give you some great tips on what to do before bouncing your final master. Let's go.
Er på min ting og jeg må gjøre det for meg. Har ingenting å si om du kan høre meg. Stadig på mitt vibb, så aldri gjort det for å profitere på det som noe grips. Så kom og vibb med meg. Kom og vibb med meg. Stadig på min vibb, så aldri gjort det for å profitere på det som noe grips.
The Logic Pro session that I use here is called the Subphotic Analog Clean. It's downloadable and available in the description. It's free, go get it. So what you see here is the waveform of the final mix. It's without a limiter, so you see that there are some dynamic variations, just as a hint on the visuals on the waveform. You can see that. I like to keep as much dynamic intact as I can without it being too weak sounding and too low in volume. I don't like my mix to be too quiet, but I always strive for that sweet spot. And the first thing that I do is that I calibrate my hardware. So I will start with the SSL Fusion and work my way from there. I need the mix to be somewhere at -18. First, I'll pull up a meter to just check. And if it exceeds this sort of limit, I will reduce it a bit in volume. I will just use clip gain before I send it out of the DAW and into my SSL. Having done that, I'm ready. I can start experimenting a bit. Here's the first tweak. This is the SSL Fusion. Now on my SSL, everything is set to 0 and it's ready to go. I start off with the vintage drive, as you see, and here I start tweaking the drive knob. I'm exaggerating it, and I can hear what it really does with the sound, and then I back it off until I reach more conservative levels. And I will also use the output trim to lower the volume again to get it back down to where it was previously before the processing. And then I continue tweaking the density knob. I found that a little below the middle was the sweet spot for the density. And then came time for the EQ. I thought that the bass was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need a lift to my ears. The bass didn't need any boost at all, so I just left that be. I focused on the high end. The mix is quite dark, so I think it needs a bit of lift in the top end. The good thing about SSL Fusion is that I'm able to be generous with the high end because I have a high frequency compressor, which is sort of like a de-esser. I can choose where it kicks in, as you can see on the crossover frequency. The EQ is set on 16 kilohertz and the crossover is at 10 kilohertz for the high frequency compressor, which ensures that everything that I've boosted is being clamped down on at the next stage in the processing to tame all those nasty artifacts of the boost. And of course, I play with the thresholds. I don't want it to sound unnatural, but I want a bit of that effect as well. So I need that high-end sheen, but I need it to be contained as well. So it's being compressed. And then over to the stereo imager, I experiment a bit with the width and with the space, and I just tweak it to taste. I don't want to exaggerate those processors because in essence, I really don't like stereo imagers as a concept. I like to make my mixes wide in the mix stage, especially when I'm the one doing the mix. I like to do as much as I can during the mix stage and just do small tweaks in the mastering stage. That's the ideal situation, but when I get mixes from other people, it varies. Some mixes are much better than mine, and some mixes are worse. So it's good to have the option of really enhancing the stereo width if needed, but it will of course bring on artifacts as well. I used to go easy on the stereo imaging. And then I've activated the transformer in the SSL. This is just a button that I press in. It engages the transformers, which gives more of an analog mojo, as they say. So what I used to do, I close my eyes and I press I press that button many times, I listen, and then I open my eyes and oh, that's the best. And that's it for the SSL Fusion. And if you like this video, hit the like button. Now over to the warm audio bus comp. I start by engaging the compressor section, which is a switch of a button, and then I exaggerate the threshold so I can hear what I'm doing. Next up, I tweak the attack and release according to taste. Oftentimes, I tend to have a slow attack and a medium to fast release. I tend to find the release at 0.3 is my sweet spot in most cases, but I always experiment. And in this unique case, I actually found that the release was best set at 0.6. And then I used the makeup gain to compensate for the loss in volume. And then I turned the threshold back down again, so I get a more conservative gain reduction. And I apply the high pass filter at 60 Hz. Just to leave the bass alone a bit and get a compression that is more fair to the upper frequencies. So that's it for the warm audio bus comp. Now I have two processors working on my sound. I got the SSL Fusion, I got the warm audio bus comp doing some compression, and now it's time to do the final tweaks. And I pull up a Pro-Q3 from Fabfilter and I sweep for problem frequencies just to check. And at approximately 300 Hz, 1000 Hz, and 3000 Hz, there are some inconsistencies going on that I have to deal with. I think at least I'll try. And I end up using the Pro-Q3 in dynamic mode on all three bands that I've selected. And I found that the song sounded a lot cleaner that way. So no treatment at the lows, no treatment at the highs. I think I'm done with those frequencies. And then I pull up a limiter. I use the Pro-L2 from Fabfilter. I've been using that for almost 2 years now, and I'm really satisfied with it. I like it very much. It can do a great deal of gain reduction without leaving a lot of artifacts, and I think that's one of the greatest strengths about the Pro-L. I like the layout, I like the user interface, and I think it's really easy and fast to use. Now, a quick breakdown of my thinking here. I turn off true peak limiting. The transients are suffering under the attack of true peak limiting, so I'll turn that off. I turn oversampling to 4x to ensure that I get as few artifacts in the higher frequencies as possible when I bounce the song. I play with exaggerated settings to hear what is going on with the song when the compression is being applied, and then I back down when I'm satisfied with the results. I tend to use a medium to a slightly fast attack, and the same with the release. And I experiment some with the style settings, which is what color, what kind of vibe do I want. And when I'm happy, I turn the threshold down to livable levels and gain stage it properly, making sure that I have -1 decibel of headroom and I have -1 decibel of output level. And then I pull up my meterings, which is the Tonal Balance Control and the Insight from Izotope. And I use those meters just to check where am I at when it comes to overall LUFS. I usually aim for about -10 to -8, which I have experienced works good for most streaming platforms. And I use the Tonal Balance Control to give me any hints or clues about something that goes on in the mix that I might have overlooked, but I think this looks good. I also check the stereo spectrum to see how wide the mix is represented in that meter. It also gives me some clue, but ultimately it's the ears that I have to use. Don't forget to like this video if you really liked it, and subscribe if you want even more videos like these. Hit the bell button to be notified every time a new video comes out. And now comes time for bouncing the song. And I think that everything is in check with this song, but there are actually 10 things that I usually do before I bounce my song, ready to release, to send it off into the world. And if you check out this video, I will go through those 10 things in an orderly fashion. And if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Peace!